Whoa. You know what it is, Matt?
What is it, Bob?
I'm learning to fly,
Learning to fly.
but I ain't got wings.
I ain't got wings.
Coming down
Coming down
is the hardest thing.
is the hardest thing.
It's so true, Matt. And you shared this, and I had seen it. I didn't. Could it be 5 years? How's it 5 years already? And a couple of things on this one, Matt. I know that you know that the opiate crisis is way worse than the COVID crisis ever was. And I just saw a stat
Yeah.
in Alberta.
You want to kill more people? You want to kill more people? Give them opiates. Yes.
In Alberta, it's shocking how worse it is. Over 2 years ago, like the lockdowns, a lot of people opioided out to their grave.
Yeah.
Anyway, Matt, the other thing I wanted to do, because you shared it and I thought it was very interesting, and there it is. I'm going to share. And that was this little article from The Guardian, and I couldn't agree more with this. I know you're a huge fan of Spotify, and I kind of somewhat disagree that well, you know what? It allows you to hear more of the same music that you like. But what this article is trying to say, that if you don't like it right away, you're never going to listen to it again. Whereas if you invested in an album, right, and you played it, you have a chance of hearing it 3 or 4 times, and the song might grow on you.
Yes. And it's interesting. I saw this article after I was sitting down with a musician friend that we both know yesterday here in town, and he was asking me how to use Spotify, and this is actually the way that I like to use it, that they're saying that people don't like to use it. So let's say I find a new music by Young and Sick, which is a new band that I found by a curated list that I had, and then I listened to the entire Young and Sick album from that. So
here's my question though. Will you listen to it again? Will you give it 5 tries?
Oh no, I've listened now I've listened to not only the one song 100 times, but the entire album. I'm a big fan now of a group called Young and Sick. So I just it depends on how you use it. Like I have no problem saying, okay, I want to listen to David Bowie, Hunky Dory right now, and putting that on. I mean, but I'm kind of a junkie when it comes to music, and I know what I like to hear and when I want to hear it, what my mood is, all that. But if you're looking for new music, which I happen to enjoy looking for new music, it's like going to the record store. Spotify is the greatest record store ever.
Yeah, for sure.
And you have podcasts, and you have content that you won't find on other platforms, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't really, I think that's kind of a weak.
I actually think that there's room for both of these, and we've seen there's been a big, there's been a resurgence, especially in vinyl. Vinyl's outselling CDs. We've covered that before.
Yeah.
Because of this, it's experiential. Like you put the album on, you actually, you're involved with it. And
like anything, you have to find a way that it works for you, right?
All right, Matt. Let's talk Spotify.
Sure.
Why don't you bring that up? And
I mean, we've
along with Neil Young, still has he still pulled his politically correct?
Well, interesting. We've talked about it already, but Spotify is actually below the COVID lows. So this thing is awfully discounted from 387 was the high in 21 all the way down to 86 right now. It's basically sitting at all-time lows. So any low that we're making here is all-time lows. This has only been trading since 2018. So came public basically, sit here, came public in 158. So everybody is underwater. It's cut in half. This has not been a good investment if you're holding from the date. Now you did get a chance to almost 2.5x your play here. So again, if you're a pig and didn't take profits when you had 2x, that's not Bob's fault. It's not definitely not my fault. But
Hey, Matt, and we rewrite the song. Wait a second, hold that chart there. It's learning to cry.
it's learning to crawl. Yeah.
Matt, when I look at that, and there is no price discovery because it's making lows.
Well, it's not that there's it's not that there's no price discovery. This is just, we're into the 4th year and we're at the lows. So
my point is it's not traded lower than this. And
it is
so
not.
I logically look at that and say, well, that's a really nice distribution.
Yep.
Why can't it redistribute that lower if things continue to deteriorate? And so it could get, whatever this becomes what, a $20 stock?
That would be minus 30 then, Bob, but I understand.
Wait a second. Yeah, that is, I can't,
it's 200, it's basically 200 to 85.
Okay. So it's crude oil. It goes negative.
It goes negative. So
this is a dangerous thing to own as far as I'm concerned.
right now, it is a dangerous thing to own. 100% true. $16.4 billion market cap. I still think it's the best music platform out there. So, when things turn around, whenever the lows come in the market, then consider this. But right now, just step away. I wouldn't be selling it here. I was selling it before, but I wouldn't be selling it necessarily here either. If you're not, if the name is new to you, this is probably not the time to. It's the time to put it on your watch list. Keep alerts, $10 higher, $10 lower, and just keep watching it. Again, there's a buy, there's a sell, and there's a no trade.
All right, Matt, speaking of no trades, undefeated teams. How did you do last week, by the way? You had Minnesota loser. What a disappointment.
Well, it was a 14 parlay you pushed on me, and I was 2-2, so I lost the parlay. And then of course I won the bet with you under 50,000 at the
Yes, I saw that. I didn't bring the graphic in, but you did win 42,000.
Yeah.
To see UCLA?
To see UCLA, which is again a top 10 team against another top 10, they were undefeated Washington team. So the fact that there's 40,000 people in LA that want to go see your LA team, UCLA, it's embarrassing.
It is embarrassing. It is really.
And it was only 40,000, not 42. So
2,000 were still in the parking lot tailgating.
No, and those people were selling hot dogs. Most of the 40,000.
Kielbasa's or Polish, no hot dogs.
No, they were probably tofu dogs because it was LA.
All right, Matt.
Make hot dogs great again in your stadium at the Rose Bowl. Maybe people will come.
Matt, what is JMU and what is the mascot right above that?
Well, that's James Madison. I think that was Coastal Carolina, but I'm not sure. That little cock or whatever that thing is, I'm not sure. But again, once again, we have Georgia, Tennessee, Ole Miss. We have Clem, which are all SEC along with Bama, right? So these 4 down here then you got Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan, the big 3, of course, still undefeated in the Big Ten. James Madison is GMU. TCU, by the way, don't forget that. I called them out +7, the dog of the week, and they fucking spanked Oklahoma, my friend. Spanked them.
Yeah, you did call that. You said Oklahoma was no good.
Well, let me just point out also that the 2 new Big Ten entries, SC and UCLA, are joining the top teams here undefeated. So goodbye, Pac-12. Goodbye.
I have another of our.
So I'm counting those as Big Ten. I'm counting those as Big Ten teams.
Is there any way Gavin Newsom can block that? Is my question.
I'm sure he's trying.
Right.
I'm sure he's trying.
All right, Matt. We haven't looked at Barstool in a while, but this is for sure the meat. The next month is the meat of wagering, I would think. Right? You got the baseball playoffs. You got all
4 majors. You got all 4 majors playing, right? Absolutely.
Right. You got college. You got NFL. You got hockey. What the fuck do I know about hockey? You got. Anyway, let's look at Barstool and maybe we can look at another.
Well, the interesting thing about Barstool is it did make new lows, got below 25 barely. It probably ticked right under there, filling into this little hole. We were calling for 20, 22, 25, close enough for government work. Don't forget the COVID low was 380. Davey boy, you still got time. From 25 to 380 is still a long way away. I mean, that's still 90% of your worth. So there's still time to lock that in before it goes to zero again, because it will go to zero.
You know, and again, too, when you look at that, I mean, 380 seems ridiculous somewhat, but it's a thick, healthy profile. There's no reason.
Well,
why
the high before COVID, which was 39.40. So think about that. This thing was trading 40 in February. It was already starting to go crazy, and then it crumbled, right? Absolutely. So talk about diamond hands not being so diamond, right? By the way, have you seen this new show on Netflix, Eat the Rich? It's kind of the story of the GME, GameStop, AMC debacle.
No,
it's like
no.
It's okay. It's pretty, a lot of creamer, a lot of bullshit, but the characters that were buying up GM's, AMC and GME, hilarious actually. The one guy in there reminds me of that. I cannot even going to bring it up, but just watch it. It's entertaining. Put it on in the background. Speaking
of entertaining, how about our wide caboose getting indicted by the SEC?
Oh, you mean Kim?
Yes.
Yeah. How does Kim get away with a $1.2 million slap on the wrist, which is like 2 Instagram posts, and Martha Stewart went to jail for selling 2,000 shares of a $40 stock? Can you help me with that?
I cannot help you with that, other than the world is a ghetto.
All right. And, I'm just trying to understand like what happened.
Speaking of insider trading, Matt, unvaccinated sperm commanding 400% price premium at SpermX. Wait a second, that's not what I wanted to bring up. But just so you know, the market always knows, right? The market always knows. How could that be, Matt? Why would that be? We'll leave that to our listeners to figure out. But apparently, there was some sort of protocol that affected a lot of mail loads. And speaking of loads, BlackRock stock is down another 20% since I warned of its CEO's huge abnormal stock sale. Larry Fink apparently not so bullish BlackRock as he let go of 8%. I mean, that is a giant let go, is it not?
It is a giant let go.
It is staggering. Insider.
It's Elon Musk-esque, right? It's sizable.
Yes, sizable. Bring up BlackRock. The world.
Well, we've talked about it, and this stock is, it's almost half off. It was 972 the end of Thanksgiving last year. Larry Fink was ruffling with. I guess he cut the turkey for Klaus Schwab last year, and now neither of them will be cutting the turkey because you will have insects and like it.
Big, fat, meaty profile again, a la the Barstool one. And again, it's amazing how price discovery works. Like, it doesn't matter what the asset is.
Yeah.
Right. The price discovery.
Prices revert. Prices expand and they contract and they revert. That's what they do. Cycles happen. Shit happens. Life happens. But the reversion typically does work out. So you can talk all you want about GME going to a bazillion, but it's back to where it was when this whole thing started. So stop with your noise. Bye-bye, Reddit.
What is the low? COVID low in BlackRock, just to remind everybody?
311, 310, somewhere in there.
Okay.
And again, it's having a great day today because I think retail finally saw this story. This is not a new story that Larry Fink has been selling, but they finally saw it this morning. So they gapped it down and they trapped him. And that this was not the time to sell it short, by the way. But I
do like that the beginning of that profile though up ahead. So
yeah, well, again,
Matt, let's jump right into the bonds because they got a major. Everybody thought the end of the world was coming because of Credit Suisse and
again, that stuff's not new. That Deutsche Bank,
I agree.
Credit Suisse, it's old news. That those guys should have gone bankrupt in 2008, and they're still hanging around now. So yeah, but that's just the Europe story is the first one to continue to fall. But the bonds again, they're up large today. I'm looking at the ZB. And but again, the thing that I will point out, we're actually making a new high in the ZB over the last couple of days, but the UB is not. And again, this area right in here is going to be a little hefty, up to 130. I could see it getting pretty easily up to 130, 131. And again, as you pull back here, it's starting to look pretty bullish. The bonds are due for a bounce. We've talked about it, way oversold. The simple trend line break has happened now on the ZB today. be careful out there shorting equities and or bonds, because I think it's just we're due for a face ripper, and it could be a 10 to 12% face ripper in both of them. And as I said, I've been saying it to you on this show, and you've been taking the other side of it down here at the bottom, and I'm going to fade you right now.
No, Matt, I've been actually deploying the strategy that allows me to be more bisexual in my trading.
Well, you have to be.
Yes,
I mean,
exactly.
again, I got very long Friday, and I'm happy to cover those today. And I was selling puts way out of the money. They were really fat on Friday, and I was hoping the world didn't end, because I might have lost a little bit of money, but it didn't end. So, but
man, I want to point out
that is trading, Bob. That is trading.
I want to point out our friend Glenn Greenwald, big election down in Brazil, and the whole point of this article was that the polling is not only bad here, it's incredibly bad everywhere that the left-leaning media controls, which is everywhere.
The polls are run by the left, exactly.
And so they had Lulu winning by 14 or 15%. He ended up winning by 5, but not enough to have the runoff. And this is what the whole thread goes into, how bad the polling is. And we argued before we came in, like if the polling is purposely, if it's not bad, if it's put out there incorrectly on purpose, is my theory. This is my hypothesis.
Yeah.
The polling isn't nearly what they're saying it is. They just want to make it look like it's that way. And I think they should maybe do a B test. That's the A testing. Maybe they should do the B testing.
They can't show, again. They can't show you the truth that he's actually up 48-20, and then all of a sudden steal the election. It doesn't work. You don't get how you steal shit. That's how these fuckers work.
Oh, that's not where immediately you go there. We're trying to have a discussion.
I'm just saying. Well, but you're trying to do the the art of war. This is what they do. If you're going to steal it, flat out jam votes in there that aren't even real, you can't make it. You can't show the reality, which is, the guy, the populist is up 25%. It's not going to. And then when you flip it, people are going to ask too many questions, so you can't do it.
I mean, I think people are asking questions left, right, and center anyway.
Well,
my point of bringing it up is
I don't disagree. I don't disagree with you. But if you're setting the table and you're trying to rig the game, which they are,
the point is, there's been nothing but narratives over how the Democrats are going to retain.
If our election even happens in the midterms in this country right now, if they happen, nobody's going to believe them either side. So. I wonder what we got that
to look forward to.
We got that to look forward to.
All right.
And
all right.
Look, I mean, how about Indonesia? Speaking of sporting events over the weekend, and you got 170.
Oh yeah, you know what? I did see that. 100 people killed or more.
170, I think, at the end of the day, and an equal amount maimed. Very, very hurt. So it makes. Even in this world, I mean, you've seen some of the angst, even in Oregon, right? At the Oregon games this year, the fans have been extremely brutal. It was the BYU game, the first game, like they were calling them, they were anti-Mormon bullshit going on. And there was something this past week too, where it's just like, wow, like this is Oregon, the most liberal of places. And these people are, again, the people that are at the game are just going like, it's bad.
Yeah, I mean, I thought, the soccer matches have always been hooligan central.
Yeah, but it was the tear gas that the government sprayed on the hooligans down on the field, and then they couldn't see, and then there was a whole rush of people. Well, no, then there was a rush of people to blow out a tunnel, and it's also the reason why this market is way different than before, because we're a massive passive ETF market now. So guess what? When everybody tries to exit that fire door. And this is it's actually a good topic to talk about, because when you want to get out, you think you can get out, you think you're in the liquid QQQs or whatever, ETF that you're XLF or whatever it is that you're all in on, it's not going to be an easy exit for you. And I don't mean to belittle people dying, because it's horrible. And it's horrible that the government did that to those people and sprayed tear gas. I mean, let them hooligan. And they were, again, they got their own, they have a mess going on there politically. It's all politics So the reason why these people are so angsty is they just feel like they're not being represented, and they're not. Their tax dollars aren't being used wisely, and they're not. So like this is a theme that is going to just accelerate, and it is accelerating, unfortunately, until we get some wiser heads. Gosh, there was a Czech, a bunch of Czech political, organized rallies this weekend with over 100,000 people just upset with the government. And these people were under the thumb of the communists before. They don't want that in their world again.
Right.
They don't want it. And so again, I talked to a friend who's from Hungary who lives in New York City now. He's, is a trader friend of mine. It's like, those people are the ones that are speaking out the loudest right now against all of this, because they've been there. They don't want to go back to that. Those are the voices. Those are the voices we should be listening to.
You shared to that sentiment. You shared inside the network the Michael Burry tweet saying the exact same thing, and I'll just read it. Difference between now and 2000 is the passive investing bubble that inflated steadily over the last decade. All theaters are overcrowded, and the only way anyone can get out is by trampling each other. And still, the door is only so big.
Yeah.
How many more day traders are there now than there was in 2000? How many?
Well, that's what's interesting about watching this Eat the Rich, because that's exactly, there's so many of them, and they're desperate, and they're putting their last $4,000 into AMC and GMC because they're $3 stocks, right? So, it's again, and those are the same people that their parents got screwed in the 08-09 bailout, right? Of all the banks and the mortgage company. Those people's parents now are the ones that lost their homes, and now they're like, fuck you, Wall Street. And that's really what the story was about, Eat the Rich. It was fascinating because, of course, they still hate short sellers, but they don't understand that markets, a real market has the ability to short things. If you don't have that, you don't have a real market. So
no, you don't. You have to have the short.
You have to have that. So people, again, the parts of that thing, watching the retail, they don't understand how it works. And if you don't understand, then don't play the game. If you don't understand, you can take both sides of the market, and that's legal, then please don't buy the stock, because it can go the other way too, very quickly, especially in a down market. And again, it's just, watching stuff like that makes me kind of, because it's also, like when Robinhood stopped those people from buying, they did save them, but they didn't sell because they don't know how to hit the sell button, right? So, whereas if they would understand the mechanics, they could have capitalized big time, like many traders did, including yourself and myself, on that type of information. Like if you know that, you're like, sell the crap out of it. Thing's going down now. You can't do anything but sell.
Right. Hey, Monday Night Football, Rams, Frisco, and somebody posted a picture of a 1920s actor, maybe, that looked more like Jimmy G than it's impossible. Like the doc, I gotta find it. Anyway, who do you like? Monday Night Football.
I mean, the 49ers are awful. They don't like
Jimmy G. Can't save it.
Well, the coach doesn't like Jimmy G. Jimmy G wasn't even at the practices the last 3 weeks until the guy got hurt. I don't know if you know that. So like he was outcast, and now he's going to have to be brought in because they're desperate. They're at home. The Rams are desperate too. I think you got to go Rams and just shutting down Jimmy G. But that's kind of. But again, I'm not good at the NFL, so don't listen to me.
You're not very good at anything. All right, let's call a spade a spade.
Fair enough.
Sorry, that was a layup. That was a layup. Slam dunk. LA +2, over under 42. Thank you, Lee.
Yeah, take the under and the Rams. That's my bet.
All right. I got you. $1 a piece.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take it. Anything else, Matt? Anything else?
Again, we're getting a rally here. I expect the next couple of weeks to be very volatile. There's a lot of information. There's a lot going on in the Mideast. There's a lot going on in our country. There's a lot going on in the Far East. There's a lot going on in Europe. And the biggest story still to me, sovereign debt is done. And when the masses lose that confidence, i.e. con game, when they lose that confidence in your government, their government, money leaves. And I still think that the US is going to be the last one standing, because there's nowhere else. Like all the dominoes are kind of falling eastward west. And it's been bad in China for a long time. It's really bad in Europe right now, and it's really getting worse. I just don't see, Bob, what is going to change that. So again, this is not yes, it's a two-way short-term trading market, but this is not a market that I think you want to be yet trying to catch a bottom. And we could rally 10, 15%. And again, I was already long from Friday, but I've taken that trade off because, I was selling options and they collapsed hard, and I'm not going to wait for the rest of the month to collect like the last third. So be smart, take your profits when you have them, and don't marry a counter trend idea, because you're not going to catch, the bottom for the next 3 years here. That's kind of what I'm saying.
Right on. I kind of agree with that. I mean, the longer term charts, they take a longer time frame to play out. So although the fractal looks the same, I think people get in trouble when you see a fractal and you're like, that is bearish as can be, without understanding that the time involved for the time frame to work its well out is way longer than you're going to be able to stay capitalized in a particular trade.
Yeah.
So you keep refreshing my memory on that. You're not trading the monthly. You're not even trading the weekly.
You're not trading the weekly. And if you are,
so you can understand that's the,
if you are trading those, you're not buying here. That's the absolute truth. So
bingo. All right, Matt. Thank you, Lee. Please visit us at marketvetals.io. Please do yourself a favor.
The other thing we should talk about again, because it has been such big news, is Tesla got spanked again because they missed. Like nobody's going to be buying Teslas, by the way, the next 2 years. Nobody. And we've been seeing it for a while, but I mean, again, all the Reddit bros got destroyed again today. It's down 10%. Let's take a look at that real quick, if you don't mind.
Take a look at it. And again, it was like, how are supply chain issues going to just smooth out?
But it doesn't matter. There's no demand now for this product. The rich people already own their Teslas, and Joe Biden and Pete Buttigieg want us to buy them, but nobody else has got money to buy a Tesla. So it's over. This thing's going to again, we've talked about it. It's going to trade back to.
Bring it up, man. Did you bring it up?
It'll trade back to probably a 150 to 100, I think, over time.
Especially too. I mean, the other big part of this is how much a few of the other car companies have gone all in. Man, when I was in Detroit, my friends there were showing me the parcel on the south side. Where that I should share the picture of the deli that I went to.
Yeah.
So, and they showed the parcel that GM is redoing for their full electric, research and development, the whole thing. It is giant. It is absolutely giant. So you got for sure other players that are coming full force into this marketplace, and they're going to put together cheaper, and for me, that's the whole name of the game. Who gets to that way cheaper price point for an electric vehicle?
Well, again, you can see this chart. This is a multi-year going back to 20 again. The low in March was $24. So again, that was a 20xer, about as extreme as you can get during this craziness. And to me, it's just another rollover. We've bounced now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, and everyone's a little bit lower. And now you need to take out this 200 level. And if again, we're not even value doesn't even begin to 130. Why? I mean, I'm being conservative with 150. I think we'll trade to 100. And I think it's here, and then really it's got to get back to the 75 area. If it was 75 today, I might.
The Reddit bros are rolling over.
Well,
all right, that's what we got. I got to go. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Lee. Please join us at marketvetals.io. Please share, retweet, and plagiarize far and wide. And last but not least, visit Amazon.com, search Shrimp Mojo and get the Manja TV Shrimp Mojo and enjoy a flavor profile like none other. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Lee.
Thank you, Bob.